Hi. Yeah, as you can see in the title. Well, no, wait, that's down there. This is a review of the Trans-Siberian Orchestra show at the Wells Fargo Center, Philadelphia, on December 21st, a year after the world was supposed to end. Ha. But, yeah, the show was just a maze. Oh my god. This was a great show. And I honestly think I'm not just saying this because, oh, I just saw this last night, it's great. This is honestly just a great show. I guess I'll start with the most prominent thing there, which was the lighting, which was part of the light show of it. The whole light show of this band is phenomenal. They had, everything from sparklers, fireworks, to flames, and they had like a set piece which was almost like a castle or just like a house where they were projecting images up of a hotel. There was a toy store, dragons, flame, fire, a tiger at one point. It's really cool. And then they had spots for guys to stand up top, and it was just really epic. And everything from strobe lights to just like spot beam lights, and they had just everything about this was just about that. It made the show really good. But so I guess I'll start talk about it. This is the last tour where they're doing the Lost Christmas Eve show. So they have they have the narrator who narrates before, and after, all the songs, and he provides the story, and the story was really cool. It compelled Luke, the guy that I went with. He ended up buying the narrated version of the Lost Christmas Eve after it. He's like, yeah, this is cool, and you hear so many songs that are, in that alone that were our Trans-Siberian Orchestra. Wizards in Winter was a really good song. They played it live, and it was just, everything you expected. It was one of the loudest, reactions from the crowd, because you could tell probably there was people who just heard, who knew that, and Christmas Eve Sarajevo, which is, of course, probably arguably their two biggest songs. But then, there was they played all kinds of other songs. They played Mad Russian Christmas, Siberian Sleigh Ride. See, I have the set list here. They opened with two songs that I am not 100% sure what albums they're from. Winter Palace is from Knight's Palace, but then they have Time and Distance, which was a cool song. And then, Faith Noel, The Lost Christmas Eve, of course. Christmas Cannon Rock, they played, I think Back to Reason, which was really cool. I think they had the chick singer, the one that's really, really good, and that was awesome. Then they played In the Hall of the Mountain King, which is awesome. Carmina Burana, which those of you who don't know, that has that Karl Orff O Fortuna, which is every epic 90s and 80s action gladiator style movie had this song in it, the introductions to all the Jackass movies, if you know it from there. Played Beethoven, lots of Beethoven, and they ended with Christmas Eve Sarajevo, which of course got a really big reaction and all that, and a couple other things. They played the Charlie Brown piano theme, which is really cool, and just all in all, this was just a really, really great and fun show. I haven't had this much fun at a show in a good while, at least this year. When you look at all the band members, you look at some bands, you see and you look, and there's oh, this person's kind of the weak link in a way. It's arguably, you can look at Metallica, and you'd be oh, Lars Ulrich, his drumming's not the best, he's a weak link in the band, I honestly don't see that with this band. Every single person in this band is phenomenal. All the singers that they had who had the solo parts and all that were the lead singers for songs. They were so good, but they were all different and unique in a way, and that's what was kind of cool. There's not one person who's just kind of bland. They all were really good at what they were doing. They had the tenors, and it was just a really fun show. the one guitarist, the main guitarist, he just shreds for days. And there was just so many moments where I was just like blown away during this show. Siberian Sleigh Ride was one of those, probably one of the bigger moments, because they had like a little mini platform at the back of the arena where one of the guitarists and the bassist, sat. Or they didn't sit, they were on there, and they had lights, and it was flashing and all that. They were playing and running through the crowd and whatnot, and then that was really cool for that. And then later during O Fortuna, they had flames shooting out of it, which was, again, awesome. But then one of the things that really hit me of like how talented these guys are was the bassist was getting off the platform. He was making his way back up, and he ran into like 3 tech guys. And they all hopped down into the push-up position. They start doing push-ups. The bassist did one-arm push-ups, and he's just going, and he's keeping up with them. And it's not like, he's doing good. And then he's got the bass balanced on his back, and he's playing the rhythm of the bass while he's doing one-arm push-ups. So I was just like, oh. Like, it was just really, really cool. Like other things, the main violinist who runs around on stage, he's, really talented. Like, everybody is just extremely talented. The main pianist, who also I think writes and arranges most of the music, is just really, really cool. And I knew of this up until then, but it never hit me immediately until it was pointed out. Like the fact they had local musicians from the Pennsylvania Symphony Orchestra was really cool. I just really like that they're getting the local part of it together, and so just a lot of bands you can kind of tell. You listen to a band live, and it's like, the studio sounds better, but it's cool live. These guys nailed everything. Arguably, it's even better live than in the studio, in my opinion. It's so great, Christmas Dream, was a really cool song, and then, just like, songs that really hit me were like, The Lost Christmas Eve, and Christmas Canon Rock, was really powerful, and just all of that. The second half of the set, because they played, the whole show of The Lost Christmas Eve in its entirety, and then they did the second half of the show, which was like an hour long. But the second half of the show, where they just kind of did whatever, honestly, blew away the first half. Like, Lost Christmas Eve is cool, but at times, my one gripe with the entire show is, toward the end, it was, the last half of that story, there's just a bunch of ballads in a row, and they were cool and all that, but it almost killed the vibe. But they saved it with, the later half of the show. And the later half of the show is phenomenal. They played Beethoven, the Fifth Symphony, all the songs that I already mentioned. And it was just phenomenal. I don't think I've seen a better stage show. And just guys who have fun while they play and, can just have so much ease of play with even the most complex stuff that, the bassist was doing a jig during Mad Russian Christmas. He was just dancing. I'm like, all right, you're good, you're entitled to show off. And then so because of this, I was floored by this performance, and I went and I bought a tour shirt, Lost Christmas Eve, to 2013 t-shirt, and I bought Beethoven's Last Night, which is one of only their 2 non-Christmassy albums that they put out. And I got these before the show started, because I'm just gonna get these, because who knows, this vendors might be closed by then, I might not be able to get one later. But they also said, hey, we're gonna be out, we're gonna, do signings and whatnot. And me and Luke looked at each other, we're like, we'll stay the extra hour to go to the signings. So we got in line, and, the line was really slow. And I was, even compared to, getting in line for, Amon Amarth and Battlecross at Mayhem. It was just really, when it moved a lot, but it was just kind of a slow pace. And I was like, why? But then when I got up there, you had, a mini conversation with each member of the band. Each member of there's 16 of, actual, of this one, because, there's the 2 bands that play, the 2 coasts, but, they all cared. Thank you for coming to the show. They were all really thankful, and all really, really cool, I sat down and probably talked for, a minute and a half to, each member. And so I got them all I got them to sign my CD, you know. So they covered the entire front and most of the back. And that's just really cool, you know. They all said, hey, thanks for coming out. And I was like, you guys did good. And I was like, thanks. And then, you know, what's your favorite thing? And maybe a little side note, you know. You know, it's just all really, really cool. All in all, this is easily one of the best, if not the best, concert experience I've ever had. I don't think anything can really beat this by much compared to, like, other shows. Because, yeah, they played for 3 hours straight. They were flawless, and it was just awesome. My mind was blown the entire time. You know, if I had to give, you know, I guess if we give a rating for the show, I'd easily give it a 9.5 out of 10. This show was phenomenal. It's just, it's one of those shows, you know, at the time, you can't describe it with words. You can only describe it with short grunting noises, you know. Ugh, you know, oh my god, you know, it's just, it was just awesome. So, you know, thanks for watching, you know, like, subscribe, all that good shit, and, man, bye.